Battle of Hue during the 1968 Tet General Offensive and Uprising is regarded as one of the fiercest engagements and one with the most far-reaching impact of the entire campaign. Taking place at a time when the Vietnam War had entered an intensely deadlocked phase, Hue, with its status as the former imperial capital and a major political and military center of central Vietnam, became a key battlefield from the very first wave of the offensive. Although the Liberation Army was unable to maintain control of Hue for an extended period and was ultimately forced out of the city, from a strategic perspective, this battle delivered an especially severe psychological and political shock to the United States. For the first time, a major urban center considered secure was subjected to a large-scale assault lasting several weeks, raising deep doubts within American public opinion about the ability of the Washington administration and the Republic of Vietnam government to control the course of the war. As a result, confidence in the prospects of a U.S. military victory in Vietnam was seriously undermined. Beyond its military and political significance, the event known as the Tet Massacre in Hue remains a highly controversial issue to this day. Due to the incomplete disclosure of historical documents and the existence of differing interpretations from various sides, the nature and scale of this event continue to be subjects of ongoing research and debate among historians. Hue held a particularly important strategic position in the overall configuration of the Vietnam War, politically, militarily, and symbolically. As the former imperial capital of the Nguyen dynasty, Hue was not merely an ordinary city, but also carried profound spiritual significance, closely associated with Vietnam's traditional statehood. Any major upheaval occurring in Hue had a powerful ripple effect extending far beyond purely military considerations, directly influencing social psychology and public opinion, both domestically and internationally. From a military standpoint, Hue served as the command center of the Republic of Vietnam's I Tactical Zone, later Military Region 1, where the system for directing and coordinating military operations across the entire central region was concentrated. Within the city and its surrounding areas, the Republic of Vietnam government deployed a dense network of administrative agencies, with more than 45 key offices ranging from provincial to regional levels, while also stationing a large military force estimated at 25,000 to 30,000 troops, equipped with modern weapons and war material supplied by the United States. In addition, the Hue Tri Thien area was heavily affected by harsh natural conditions. The terrain of forested mountains interspersed with narrow plains, unpredictable flood-prone climate, combined with a poor economy and widespread hardship among the population, created underlying social instability. Factors made Hue Tri Thien both a crucial defensive zone for the Republic of Vietnam government and a sensitive area prone to becoming a flashpoint for major conflict during the war. Prior to the Tet General Offensive and Uprising of 1968, Hue exhibited highly complex social and political characteristics, forming a distinctive context compared to many other southern urban centers. In terms of population structure, the city concentrated a large number of civil servants and families of Republic of Vietnam soldiers, while also functioning as a major educational hub for a very high number of pupils and students. Alongside them, working people, small traders, and farmers accounted for a significant proportion of the population, with a close, frequent, and inseparable ties between urban residents and those in the surrounding areas. From the early 1960s, Hue repeatedly became a hotspot for political struggle movements, organization, mobilization, and logistical support for the campaign. In this area, local armed forces were built up and developed to a considerable degree, with over 1,000 guerrillas operating regularly. Alongside them was a network of mass organizations such as peasant associations, youth groups, and women's organizations, attracting nearly 30,000 members. These organizations served both as a political base and as direct support forces for reconnaissance, transportation, concealment of personnel, and logistical supply. Of extensive rural-controlled areas and a broad mass base created a strategic belt surrounding Hue. This buffer zone became an important launching pad, enabling the Liberation Army to deploy forces from the outskirts into the city while ensuring continuity and surprise in the assault on Hue during the Tet Offensive of 1968. In the overall plan of the 1968 Tet General Offensive and Uprising, Hue was identified as one of the three largest key theaters, alongside Saigon Jadin and the Da Nang area. Although not as populous or economically developed as Saigon, Hue possessed unique attributes that gave an attack on it strategic significance far exceeding the city's geographic scale. First and foremost, Hue was Vietnam's former imperial capital, closely associated with the history of the Nguyen dynasty and a symbol of traditional state authority. A large-scale assault on Hue, especially if key areas within the inner city were seized, would generate enormous political and psychological impact, not only on the Republic of Vietnam government, but also on domestic and international public opinion. The outbreak of fighting in the former capital directly challenged the image of stability and control that the Saigon government and the United States sought to project. In addition to its symbolic value, Hue was also a major military center of the U.S. Republic of Vietnam Allied Forces in central Vietnam. It housed the headquarters of I Tactical Zone, the hub coordinating military operations across a vast area from Quang Tri to Quang Ngai. A dense system of bases, depots, airfields, infantry, armored units, and fire support elements was deployed in and around the city. Therefore, a heavy blow against Hue would not only inflict military losses, but also disrupt the enemy's command and control across the entire central region. The combination of the symbolic significance of a former imperial capital and its pivotal military role thus made Hue a critical target, chosen to achieve a strategic breakthrough in the Tet General Offensive and Uprising of 1968. From mid-1967, in response to the increasingly demanding requirements of a key battlefield, the Liberation Army carried out a comprehensive restructuring of the leadership and command system in the Triet Thien Hue area. In accordance with central directives, intermediate command levels were adjusted to ensure more concentrated, unified, and flexible leadership under the complex conditions of. On that basis, campaign task forces were established, each responsible for a specific sector, from inner-city Hue to the suburban districts and border areas. In particular, a separate campaign command for the Hue front was established, directly directing all forces participating in the Tet General Offensive and Uprising in this area. The campaign leadership consisted of senior, experienced cadres from the Regional Party Committee and the Triet Thien Military Region, ensuring close integration between political leadership and military command. This organizational structure allowed the Liberation Army to proactively coordinate forces, respond rapidly to evolving situations, and maintain command continuity throughout both the preparation phase and the execution of the campaign. Alongside force organization, secrecy and training were given top priority. Units participating in the campaign conducted thorough rehearsals for specific objectives, while strictly avoiding any disclosure of the location and timing of the attack. For key targets within inner-city Hue, the Liberation Army deliberately avoided using local personnel to reduce the risk of exposure due to familiarity with the area or complex social ties. Notably, even many cadres and soldiers directly involved were unaware that they would be attacking Hue until just before the opening fire. Thanks to this tight organizational structure and strict secrecy, the operational plan went undetected by the enemy, and Liberation Army forces suffered no losses during the preparation phase, creating favorable conditions for the simultaneous and surprise launch of the Tet General Offensive and Uprising of 1968 in Hue. In the operational plan for the 1968 Tet General Offensive and Uprising in Hue, the Liberation Army devised a strategy that divided its forces into two main assault wings, aimed at striking key targets while encircling, isolating, and paralyzing the enemy's command system throughout the city. Northern Wing, main direction of attack. The Northern Wing was designated as the decisive axis, concentrating its assault on the Hue Citadel area, where key military and administrative headquarters of the U.S. Republic of Vietnam Allied forces were located. Critical targets included the Flag Tower, Mang Ca, Tai Loc, and the system of command posts and major defensive units within the citadel. The central task of this wing was to rapidly eliminate the enemy command apparatus, seize positions of symbolic and military significance, and thereby create conditions for establishing revolutionary authority in the city's key areas. Forces assigned to the Northern Wing included main force infantry regiments, reinforced by special operations units, recoilless rifle teams, mortars, reconnaissance elements, and urban commando units. Coordination among these branches was intended to ensure rapid penetration, seizure of objectives in a complex urban environment, and resistance to enemy counterattacks. Southern Wing. The Southern Wing was tasked with a coordinating and strategic support role for the main axis. Its objectives included attacking Republic of Vietnam administrative agencies on the southern bank of the Hoong River, while also targeting Phu Bai Base and the U.S. Armored Regiment, key military hubs south of the city. The primary mission of the Southern Wing was to organize encirclement, sever lines of reinforcement from outside Hue, and weaken the enemy's ability to respond and counterattack. Forces of the Southern Wing consisted of multiple infantry battalions, special operations units, air defense elements, combined with militia and local armed forces, forming a continuous offensive posture from the outskirts into the inner city and supporting the main assault on the Hue Citadel. One of the key factors ensuring the success of the Tet General Offensive and Uprising of 1968 in Hue was the large-scale, highly secretive, and exceptionally flexible organization of logistical and technical support. Given that Hue was a city tightly controlled by the Republic of Vietnam government and U.S. forces, bringing weapons and equipment into the inner city required creativity and close coordination between armed forces and mass bases. Weapons were secretly transported using various methods such as motorized rickshaws, street vendors, goods disguised in routine trading activities, or concealed in double-bottom boats traveling along rivers and canals. These methods helped evade strict enemy controls while ensuring weapons were stockpiled at the right time and place. In addition to supplying weapons to the inner city, logistical preparations for the entire Hue-Tríthian front were made well in advance and on a large scale. Thousands of tons of rice, weapons, ammunition, and other necessities were stockpiled at bases in forested areas, border zones, and even within rural residential communities around the city. A dispersed and flexible depot system ensured continuous supply for participating units, while minimizing the risk of detection or destruction. Notably, this logistical effort involved the direct and widespread participation of the local population around Hue. Residents not only assisted in transporting and concealing supplies, but also contributed food and other forms of support. The close bond between armed forces and the masses created a broad, resilient logistical network, demonstrating a high level of organization, mobilization, and application of people's war in the Hue-Tríthian area, which played a crucial role in enabling the campaign's coordinated and surprise execution. Before the outbreak of the Tet General Offensive and Uprising of 1968, Hue was one of the areas most heavily defended by the U.S. Republic of Vietnam Allied forces in central Vietnam. Total troop strength in Hue and its surrounding areas was estimated at 25,000 to 30,000 personnel, including both U.S. and Republic of Vietnam forces, with a relatively complete and modern combined arms structure by the standards of the time. In terms of force composition, the Allied forces deployed dense formations of main infantry units, combined with armor, artillery, special forces, police, territorial security units, and naval forces operating in coastal and rivermouth areas. The defensive system was organized in depth, with multiple layers from the outskirts to the inner city to protect key military and administrative targets. The Hue Citadel constituted the core defensive area, reinforced with elite units of the Republic of Vietnam's 1st Infantry Division. Phu Bai Base served as a major logistical and airlift hub and concentrated strong U.S. mobile forces. National Highway 1 was tightly secured to maintain the vital north-south artery, while Thuan An inlet and coastal areas were closely controlled to prevent any seaborne infiltration. From a purely military perspective, the defenders held clear advantages in both manpower and firepower. They possessed modern weapons, high mobility, and a complete command and logistics system, particularly with strong support from U.S. air power and artillery. For this reason, Hue was considered a city unlikely to be held by an attacking force for an extended period under conventional military assessments, which further underscored the surprise and intensity of the offensive that followed. The Battle of Hue during the 1968 Tet General Offensive and Uprising was not merely a large-scale military engagement, but also constituted a strategic assault on the psychological and political foundations of the United States. The fact that a major city, regarded as strongly defended, became the scene of weeks-long intense fighting overturned the previously optimistic assessments of U.S. leaders and public opinion regarding the progress of the Vietnam War. After Tet, confidence that the United States could quickly control and end the war through military superiority was seriously shaken. At the same time, the battle demonstrated the Liberation Army's thorough, systematic, and in-depth preparation, encompassing force organization, command, secrecy, logistics, and the selection of objectives and operational methods suited to the characteristics of urban warfare. Through this, the capacity to conduct large-scale campaigns involving coordination among multiple forces and branches became clearly evident. Moreover, developments in Hue reflected the exceptional complexity and sensitivity of this area, where historical, political, social, and military factors converged. These combined effects helped lay the groundwork for significant shifts in the overall trajectory of the Vietnam War after 1968, both on the battlefield and at the political and diplomatic negotiating table.